Good evening, folks. Welcome to a wonderful evening of art and music in the second Friday of our 3 weeks, Traditions Weeks here at Common Ground on the Hill, virtual. It's going to be a great evening involving our visual artists and our musicians. And for those of you who are watching this live, that's great. Text some friends, tell them to tune in. And for those of you who are seeing this as an archival piece, keep spreading that around. My name is Walt Michael, the Executive Director of Common Ground on the Hill, and we welcome you. And I would now like to introduce to you the person who's been in charge of our visual arts program for 26 years. Make welcome Linda Van Hart.
Hi, thanks, Walt. I'm here to introduce two winners of our Visual Arts Award. As we consider the fabulous artists that teach with us every summer, many of whom have been associated with us for years, we look for people who are extremely talented in their field as practicing artists, but we also look for people who make a change in their community, for people who are very socially active as a traditional artist and also within the community where they live. In the case of Janet Kozacek, that's an international community. Janet is truly a Renaissance woman. She practices many art forms and is a master of all of them. Her education varied from New Jersey to Beijing. She was actually the first American to graduate from a program there in Beijing. She also taught Chinese art. And here's Janet. This is the cover photo from her most recent publication, My Women, My Monsters. As she was studying in Beijing, she realized that poetry was absolutely essential to painting. Every year, Robin Tillery, our next award winner, creates a beautiful flute. And I know Janet is just going to love this. Robin tells me it is a cedar flute. He specializes in these. And this flute has a gorgeous voice. It's a deeper voice, kind of an alto flute. Janice builds ocarinas, and when Robin played one of them, he said, that woman has perfect pitch. So not only is she excelling in drawing and painting, in illustration, in ceramics, in the making of musical instruments, she is a co-founder of the American Mosaic Society. So she truly is a Renaissance woman with an international education. This is one of her mosaics. Recently, writing has become as important to her as the visual arts. I happen to own her book of marvelous cats. I've given it as gifts to several of my friends. And she's working on a new publication called Moments in Light and Shadow. That is in the works. Janet lives with her husband in Orangeburg, South Carolina. I had the great good fortune to be in that area when she and Nat were having a co-show of her paintings and his photographs of very small, older buildings in their area. And it was at a train museum. It was an absolute marvelous show. Janet has been a teacher and a translator. She's been adjunct teaching Chinese art, mosaics, and she has translated in Chinese on many occasions. And Janet can actually read like 16th century signature seals. Her art has been tremendously influenced by her study and stay in China. And you'll notice a sort of Asian fluidity and delicacy in the way that she creates patterns, no matter what the subject is. Often they have significant borders. She's brilliant and very well read. So there's a lot of mystery and symbolism in the way that she composes her pieces. Janet taught with us for a number of years. She has been absent with us for a while, but I've felt the need to honor, this is from the book of Marvelous Cats. I felt the need to honor her for her pervasive skills in the field of art, art history, language, in writing, in the foundation of a national mosaic society, and in her continuous response to the world around her in what she creates. So it's a great pleasure to be able to confer this award on Janet Kozacek. Included, you'll find a text talking in greater detail than I'm able to do here about her accomplishments. I encourage you to go there and read it when you have a chance. It was also published in our catalog, so you can learn more about Janet in greater detail. And I believe Janet has a few words to say to us.
Janet, we can't hear you. You have to unmute.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I really appreciate and I'm very grateful for this award and for the recognition. And I again, I believe that Common Ground on the Hill has given me much more than I have given them. So I just think it's a beautiful thing, and it's nice to be remembered. And I really appreciate all your work. Okay.
Our next award recipient is Robin Tillery. Robin's been with us for 2 decades. He's taught hundreds and hundreds of people the art of flute making. He's lent gravitas and tradition and culture to many a ceremony and a celebration by opening or closing the event with his beautiful flute compositions. And since Robin is usually the maker of our awards, we couldn't ask him to make a flute for himself. Robin has plenty of flutes. So I went to another Common Ground alumna. Please change to the next slide, Rex. Here's Robin playing his flute. And I think he's going to be thrilled because when Jane Oste was teaching with us, they became friends. Jane Oste is, in my mind, the most significant living Cherokee potter today. Her relative Karen Walking Stick is a close second. They've both been with us in the past. I called Jane. Of course, she remembered Robin fondly. And she created this piece, which uses some of the symbols that Robin uses in his shell carving, the turtle and the sacred 4 directions. Robin Tillery is a Scotch Cherokee of Scotch Cherokee heritage. He's well known for his perfectly tuned and physically gorgeous flutes. He does have perfect pitch. He's got a way of handling the wood with reverence, and he transfers that knowledge and wisdom to all of his students. He works in many woods and enjoys the unique quality of each wood. He's worked some flutes out of spalted wood, which is wood that has been seasoned or found underwater. He's most famous for his cedar and cane flutes, which are typical in his native tradition. On the square grounds where he lives, along with Sakim, his mentor, he's brought in many a ceremony with his flute playing. His awards have been many to recipients of the Robert Chambers Award and also the Visual Arts Award. We really miss having Robin with us this year. He's a storyteller. He passes on traditional knowledge. And in the evenings, after the concerts, Native Americans and many others who are our friends and family at Common Ground gather in the wood room with Robin to trade those stories. That's the kind of gathering that we seriously miss this year. Sakim says of Robin, his flutes speak to the heart and acknowledge Creator. Robin is soft-spoken, full of dry humor, generous with his time, as every student who's ever worked with him knows. He will stay past the last bell if you need extra help making your flute or tuning it. Robin imparts not only knowledge, but also wisdom as he instructs in both the building and the playing of flutes. In addition to his many arts, he's an award-winning full-time classic automobile restorer. We are truly grateful for the long, profound, and quiet presence of Robin Tillery in our community.
Okay.
Robin cannot be with us, so Pete Sylvia will speak on his behalf.
I speak as Robin Tillery's second. In southeastern Native communities, important matters are never spoken directly. These matters are spiritual, of the soul, and heartfelt, deep thoughts. Instead, they are given to a trusted friend to speak aloud for someone. That trusted person is called their second. By this, all know that what the second speaks is of much importance and all are attentive. These words Robin has given to the second to speak that which Robin has to say. Robin says, "Who I am is the total sum of all contributions throughout hundreds or even thousands of generations. How we decide to use the long unbroken chain of contributions reflects that total sum. How contributions use us is also that total sum, for we are none truly alone. Many of these contributions we hold in recent memory. Some, Robin believes, are intuitions given through DNA memory. Robin acknowledges that it is through these contributions from the long past and also in recent memory that Robin is and has become. Without them, Robin would be less. Robin knew some time ago of this recognition being given. He discouraged it. He gives what he has learned so that Robin might be a helper along the journey of this existence. Maybe someone will remember his help and count it as a good contribution to their own journey. Even if an experience is less than Robin should have given, he hopes a good experience may come of it or be had from it. With that said, Robin gives thanks to the many influences that came from the past, thanks to family, to friends and acquaintances, and to many common ground contributors. Many of you have added to Robin over the years to help him be who he is. As Robin's voice, I say to you, Mudo, thank you.
Thank you, Pete. I believe Sakim is with us. He has mentored Robin over many years in friendship and in skill in traditional knowledge. And he is going to play a brief flute song to honor Robin.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we
Hello?
can hear you.
Okay. Well, our power went off and I'm having to fight the cats and the raccoons. I'm standing in their feeding place. So a very short piece just in Robin's honor. Uh-oh. I better make it short. It's hard to play with raccoons and cats swirling around your feet. I'm standing in their food. But this is for Robin, whom I consider to be the epitome of the best flute maker that I know in the world. Thank you all for your help with Robin's award.
Well, thank you, Linda, and the entire colony of artists that have been with us for now 26 years. A special thanks to Janet and Robin for all the work they've done and all the great art that they continue to make. And thank you, Sakim, for playing. And I should note that everyone should read about the Supreme Court decision today, which has returned land in eastern Oklahoma, huge amounts of land, to once again be reservation land. It's an amazing turn of events. Maybe there is such a thing as justice in this world. So congratulations to the 5 tribes. So we'll now proceed with some music. And we have music coming all the way from Scotland tonight. Our first performer is Paul Kryten. Paul's a peace activist. He's a teacher, an educator, and a musician, a grandfather. And he has done amazing peace work, especially in terms of developing a peace curriculum for the schools of Scotland. He has spent a lot of time with school children who are in danger's way, taking them all over the world, taking them to Dachau, taking them to see Washington, D.C., to see where Dr. King gave his speech in 1963. Paul's work has been wonderful, and we value him as a great teacher among us, not only for his peace activist work, but for his music. So all the way from Scotland, I should say the west coast of Scotland, Prestwick, Ayr, the home of Robert Burns, make welcome Paul Kryten.
Hi there. I'm delighted to be here for this concert. I've been teaching students peace education in the classroom and the other class was Scottish songs and music. And there's been quite an overlap within the two areas, as quite often Scottish songs have been used to kind of demonstrate or talk about incidents or episodes in history which we can identify episodes of man's inhumanity to man. This is song that I'm singing tonight is a song by Alan Reid from the Battlefield Band, and Alan had written 2 or 3 verses where he did comment on certain episodes of man's inhumanity to man, and I really liked the song, and I added further verses to it because at the time I was teaching the students in school how over the centuries there have been countless episodes of where this inhumanity existed. I then contacted Alan and kindly gave me his permission to add the verses and record the song. So this is a song called Road of Tears. Came at dawn from out the darkness, swords and torches in their hands. They said it was the chieftain's orders, clear the hillsides and the glens. No more we'll smell the broom and the heather, share the bannock with our kin, be laid to rest beside our fathers. It almost broke our hearts and minds to board the ship of tears, to board the ship of tears. They came with chains, they enslaved us, tore us from our native home. Across the ocean, bound together, they whipped us till our skin was torn. They sold us to the highest bidder, forevermore to be the slaves. We lost our homes, we lost our families, we almost lost our hearts and minds. We're on our knees, and still we pray. We're on our knees, and still we pray. Across the sea to flee the hunger, wasted rags of skin and bone. The fields we left were black and barren, a ravished land no longer home. The coffin ships were filled with mourning. We'd one last look back to the land, the quiet men and women keening. It almost broke our hearts and minds to leave the fields of tears, to leave the fields of tears. They came in floods and covered wagons, drove across our ancient lands. They said to scorn our elders' wisdom, take the path their Lord commands. They stole our hills, they stole our rivers, the Mother Earth with whom we're joined. They led us from our spirit fathers. It almost broke our hearts and minds to walk the trail of tears, to walk the trail of tears. They came at night, they broke our windows, smashed our shops, our homes they took. They demonized our every feature, beat us up then burned our books. They led us to the camps and showers. The smell of death was all around. We searched in vain for our families. It almost broke our hearts and minds to board the train of fear, to board the train of fear. They came in hordes across the desert, storms of dust did sear the skin. They said they'd come for our oppressor, they would make a meal of him. They said that we would earn our freedom, come to see their ways are right. But still we weep and we're bleeding. They have not won our hearts and minds, we're on the road of tears. We're on the road of tears. It never ends, the road of tears, the road of tears. There we go. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yes, Paul Kryten, The Road of Tears. Now, far north of Burns country are the Highlands, and our next performer comes from the Scottish Highland village of Ullapool, and she is regarded one of Scotland's great harp players. She was with us last year. Rachel Hare is her name. She tours worldwide, and she loves the music that she plays and loves sharing it with her students and with people who would listen. She taught with us this week, all the way from Scotland, and we're really happy that she's back with us, and we hope that we'll see her in person next year. Make welcome all the way from the Highlands, Rachel Hare.
Hello, welcome to Scotland. My name is Rachel Hare and I am teaching harp this week. I'm teaching two courses, Hebridean harp and Celtic chill harp. And I should have been with you all in person at McDaniel College alongside my duo partner Ron Jappy, who this week is teaching guitar and Scottish fiddle. We're really sorry we can't do a live video for you today, but that's really because this concert is at 1 AM Scottish time, and we both live in Glasgow tenement flats, so old style apartments, and I think our neighbours, yeah, they wouldn't be too happy if they got woken up by either harp or guitar music at 1 AM. But we have got a wee pre-recorded video for you. So huge thank you to Walt and Maria for moving the festival online. It's a huge job, and I really hope you're enjoying the concert and your courses this week. So this is a wee number that we filmed in the Trossachs, an area north of Glasgow. We managed to pick the one day of summer in Glasgow in Scotland this year to film this. So please enjoy this wee set. It's a 6/8 pipe march called Redford Cottage, and then two pieces of Gaelic mouth music which we are playing. One called Dansa Kun Dansa Alan, which means dance Alan dance. So if your name's Alan, I hope you're going to get up dancing to this one. And then finishing off with this just be called Stillam Heen Buntatasin, which means I like potatoes and butter. So thank you and enjoy, and hope to see you in person sometime. Cheery. Yeah.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Wow, Rachel Hare, how about that? How about that scene up there in the Highlands? Is it beautiful there or what? To be there now. It's probably about 67 degrees. The days are long. Oh my. Here we are. We're everywhere. I don't know where you are out there, but you know, we could be anywhere right now. Isn't it surprising after we walk out of our common ground classes, we walk out and there we are where we started from, right where we're not leaving. But it is wonderful to gather in this community. Our next performer comes from Scotland, but from the Northeast. So we've had Burns country on the West Coast. I'm back. So now we have a Scottish musician from the Northeast. Ron Jappy is a great guitar player and fiddler, and he's requested to play a lot of recording sessions. He's a wonderful artist, and I can't wait to hear what he's got for us tonight, all the way from the Northeast fishing village of Findachty is Ron Jappy.
Walt, we don't have Ron Jeppy here tonight. He was in the last one. We need to move to the next performer.
Oh, well, I've just been told that Ron's not here. So there we go. It would be nice to hear him, and maybe we will eventually. Our next performer does not come from Scotland. Our next performer comes from the United States and Paraguay. And I believe, if I'm correct about this, Nicholas, that you were, I want to say, is it Minnesota? No.
Yes, I was born in Minnesota.
Right, Minnesota, but raised for the most part in Paraguay. And he is a wonderful harper. Wait till you hear what he does with the harp. This is Nicholas's second year with us, and he's appeared in concert on our campus. And he's teaching a number of things, including a group class on music from the Latin-speaking world, Spanish-speaking world. So make welcome all the way from, are you in Paraguay now?
Right now, I'm at a friend's house in New City, New York.
From New York, make welcome,
Yes.
Nicholas Carter.
Thank you very much. Such a great pleasure to be to have become part of the community of Common Ground. I grew up in Paraguay, which is at the landlocked country in the heart of South America, and this instrument is sort of like the expression of that country. It's called the Paraguayan harp. It's probably one of the only harps in the world that is named after the country. It has a particular design that was really a descendant of a 16th century Spanish harp, but then the Paraguayan kind of took on this tradition and kind of changed the design. And so anyways, this has been a passion of mine for many years, and I am part of really the Latin American community the moment I become part of New York, the scene in the United States. And this song is I love very much because it's from Peru. It's called Vírgenes del Sol, and I love this song because it's a mix of so many different styles of music. On the one hand, you're going to hear that, this kind of drum beat sound of the native music of the Andes. You'll also hear kind of like a classical, and then you have this kind of Arabic scale that comes in, which is the mix of the Arabs being in Spain for so many years, 500 years, in Spain. So here you go, one culture kind of conquers another one, and they leave and mix their musical style with that region. And then the Spanish, obviously influenced by more what was happening in northern Europe, take their music, mix with the Arabs into the Americas, and they mix with the music of the Native Americans after they conquered their territories. And there's a lot of pain when one civilization conquers over another one. The beauty that comes out of some of these situations of people mixing from one place of the world to the other is reflected very beautifully in music. And I think this song does that. I think we find our place of harmony through the expression of music. This is called Vírgenes del Sol.
Nicholas Carter, how wonderful. What beautiful music. Thank you so much for being with us again. And we hope you'll come back all the time. Wonderful, beautiful music. Our next performer, instructor, is Maria Michael, and she has been with Common Ground on the Hill since the very beginning. I believe that she was on faculty our first year in 1995. She's an author, speaker, teacher for youth and families. Love and self-realization have been core to her training and work for over 30 years. Her trainings are for parents, children, and others. Throughout her life, Maria's career has included themes of stress reduction, self-worth, peace education, multicultural education, and dance. She received her yoga rhythmics teacher training certificates through the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health in Stockbridge, Mass. In 1996. She's been teaching yoga rhythmics with us for a long, long time. Her first published work appears in Guided Imagery Volume 1 and 2 in 1996. Her first recording is entitled Listening to the Heart and Spirit. Her book and recording Fire Love, Igniting the Freedom of Your Heart and Soul received the top 12 Spirited Women book pick list in 2017. A lot of people have been affected by Maria's work and her boundless love. Make welcome Maria Michael.
Hi, everybody. It's amazing to be here, being able to see everyone at Common Ground every day, every night, but to know that I can do a little bit of something tonight to perhaps inspire you, especially at a time when we're more challenged than usual. My book, Fire Love, Igniting the Freedom of the Heart and Soul, it's actually the photo version of the smaller book that used to be for sale at the Common Ground bookstore. So this book was actually very deeply inspired over many years. It took a long time to get to the point where I realized that love was more than being kind and doing things that were generous and supportive to others, that there's a power in it. There's so much said about that in other ways. My biggest inspiration was Martin Luther King, who knew that. And his was love with works, and love no matter what, whatever it took. So I feel like we're definitely riding that wave right now. So I'll read you a little bit from my book. Unifying and glorious power of love is omnipresent. The infusion of love's essence within anyone is the foundation of love's power to alter any situation. Fire love is what ignites that essence. Why is love so frequently pushed aside or underplayed in a world that is ultimately so powerless and destructive without it? The answers to this inquiry could be endless. The practical value of the heart is largely forgotten or unrealized. Little time may have been spent on establishing and integrating and recognizing it as a clear resource in everyday life. There has been so much said, written, sung, and performed about the misery of love. Is it the love that hurts, or more specifically, the actual impact of unkindness into a vessel that is inherently pure and love-filled? A more emphatic power in love is required. Relationships are often associated with the highs, lows, and schisms of human effort to give and receive love. Worldwide leadership tends to exist and function within a patriarchal playing field that, at best, is mind-based and often self-serving. There is an unrevealed essence and power in love that could open up, shift, and change what hasn't been working in love. A person's thoughts are often given the role of CEO or life authority. How well does that work for anyone? The mind can exercise more clarity when in union with the depths of the heart and the soul. Love has sometimes been associated with not making waves. What if a situation is crying out for significant change? Love as power can be activated within the core and essence of every human being. Who might be willing to discover and gain access to this much more power and love. A free and an exacting power and love exists for all who are ready to say yes to more. Love is everywhere, but is not always apparent or felt in the human experience or hour of need. An open-hearted policy alone is not sufficient in a world that doesn't always feel safe or acknowledge the power of the soul or the unifying love that we share as a humanity. There is a vast and unknown power of love that need not wait to be called upon in moments of grief or desperation. This frequency of love, that I refer to as fire love, can be straightforward and unrestricted in its ability to open up, shake, shift, and reveal what must be altered for the sake of self and others. This significant experience of love has the capacity to create healing power in the heart and soul of anyone who is willing to step up to something more intensely and inviting and liberating in life. Important to say that this experience may also be felt in the body. Thank you.
I think we're definitely seeing more love in the streets these days. People, if they're confined to their homes, I think we've all figured out how important we all are to one another and how much we need to express our love and to have love. So we'll get through this. I think understanding that there's some people that aren't ready for it is what's been put in front of us. So thank you very much. And you'll be teaching again next week. I should say that all of our performers tonight, our educators, all have wonderful things that you can buy: recordings, books, paintings, art pieces. And all you need to do is go on their websites, just Google their names and go there, and you can find these things. Or you can also get in touch with us at Common Ground on the Hill, and we can act as a non-earning intermediary and get those things to you. So much great music among our faculty and so much great art and writing. So please be in touch and support the artists. This is not a great time for artists. Had you noticed? About all those gigs that we used to do. Here we are doing it. So for those of you who can, please support the artists. It's very important. We will survive, but this is a tough time. Our next performer is a harper as well. This is the Night of the Harpers. And Jo Morrison comes to us from Westminster, Maryland. She is the dean of our harp department. She has I just went to the wrong person. I'm sorry, I'm making people run around. Let's start that one over, folks. Our next performer is not a harper. Our next performer is a firefighter. How's that for a difference? Well, he was a firefighter until he saw the light and he decided, instead of a steady job and, health insurance and that sort of thing, that he wanted to become a folk singer, where he realized he could make hundreds of dollars. And that's what he's doing now. He's making hundreds of dollars. Well, I'm being silly, but Phil Speece has been with us for a number of years. He has been one of our sound engineers. He learned while on the job here at Common Ground starting in 2006, so that's 14 years ago. He became a fireman, and all the while honing his musical skills. And this year he has been taking online courses in sound reproduction and recording from the Berklee School of Music. No small feat. And he has a band called Probably Whiskey, which is what I used to ask him whenever I'd see him walking across campus with some kind of a cup. I would say, "What's in the cup, Phil?" And he would say, "Oh, nothing." And I would say, "Probably whiskey." Just kidding. Make welcome, all the way from Northern Virginia, Phil Speece.
Well, you mentioned the cup, Walt. We do have them for sale if you would like one. Shameless self-promotion, but since I played so many like sad, intense songs last week, I figured I'd do a love song this week that I wrote. It's on my new album, which is available on Spotify and all over the place, and also it's going to be done with the full band with Probably Whiskey coming out as we work on that album. So the I'll do that one. This one's called Gorgeous and Cool. Maybe I'm drained, maybe I'm a fool, but dating sucks when you're 22. I'm 29 and still without a clue, and I think you're gorgeous and cool. I spent half my life in fire and blood, and I met you and you got me like a flood. A lotus in your own life and still gorgeous in mine. On every date I lose track of time. She makes you feel like you can do anything and everything, 'cause she's everything that you've ever dreamed of. Dive bar to dive bar, we move in and out. Talking with you is the easiest. Never felt understood until these past few weeks by a girl with brown hair and smiling cheeks. She makes you feel like you can do anything and everything. She's everything that you've ever dreamed of. Laughter's infectious, her kindness never ending. If I don't seem nervous, well, I'm good at pretending. Never felt to be more to not be okay. It's weird to finally be me. And she makes you feel like you can do anything and everything, because she's everything that you've ever dreamed of. We talk about mindfulness and you make it simple to live in the moment every time. Listen to your words, completely intentional, locked in, ignoring time. Oh, and she makes you feel like you can do anything and everything, because she's everything that you've ever dreamed of. She makes you feel like you can do anything and everything, because she's everything that you've ever dreamed of. Oh, you say take it slow, a fear I too know. There's no need to rush this time. Slow and methodical, it's weird to be so logical and head over heels at the same time. But she makes you feel like you can do anything and everything, 'cause she's everything that you've ever dreamed of. Oh, she makes you feel like you can do anything and everything, 'cause she's everything that you've ever dreamed of. Well, maybe I'm drained or maybe I'm a fool, but dating sucks when you're 22. I'm 29 and still without a clue, but I think you're gorgeous and cool. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Phil Speece. All right, he traded in his firefighter's hat for a cowboy hat, and now he's 29 and still wondering about relationships. I like the honesty of that. We just hope that maybe in the next few years, Phil, that cowboy hat's going to work for you. We have to thank Phil for doing so many things with us and for us during these weeks and on into the future. Now, it is time for Joe Morris, great harper. And Joe lives in nearby New Windsor, Maryland. And in the time that I've known her, she went from starting out on the harp, although she was an acclaimed musician prior to that, a number of other instruments. And it really, she took it by fire. She just really took off. And she and her husband Wayne are a group called Portree. They have a number of recorded CDs. Joe has a relatively recent CD of original music. She teaches many, many people. She also is, I would say, the dean of our harp department. She's brought wonderful people throughout the years to be with us, like Nicholas Carter. So make welcome, all the way from nearby New Windsor, Jill Morrison.
Thank you, Walt. Appreciate the kind introduction. Delighted to be here. My partner, Wayne here, is going to play with me, but you're not going to see him because we can't be in the same room when he plays the bagpipes and I play the harp because we only have one microphone and he will overpower me rapidly. So we're going to do this, and it's a 2-tune set. We're going to start with Amor, which is a Scottish lament, basically, about being thrown off your land for sheep, basically. The people who were shipped away in the Highland clearances from their homes to places like here. And this is followed by, we hope, an uplifting tune called The Hawk That Swoops on High, which is also called the Mingulay Boat Song. And we have been to Mingulay and we saw hawks there, so it's very appropriate, whichever title you choose, but we feel like it will hopefully lift you up from the sorrows. But there are so many sorrows right now and so many exciting things happening now that it seemed like a nice mix. So, thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, Joe and Wayne. Portree, it's great to hear you. Great to see you. Thank you so much. Our next performer is Dan Collins, and Dan Collins teaches Hearts and Minds Film, which is an amazing class about films and documentaries that probably most of us don't see unless we're really curious and looking, seeking things out, find out what's going on. There's so many great documentaries out there. And Dan, in 1 week's time, really breaks it down and shows us things that, well, they're life-changing things. I love his course. He's an award-winning filmmaker, and he's always busy. He's also a singer and songwriter. He also is a co-founder of the Common Ground on the Hill Veterans Initiative. He's very dedicated to working with veterans to help them have a voice. So make welcome all the way from Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia, Dan Collins.
Thanks, Walt. It's been quite a journey this week. We were all a little distraught when we found out we'd be doing this on a digital hill, but I gotta say it's been so rewarding. And I wanna thank all the staff, Maria and Matt and Rex, and all the volunteers, Jake Fine and everyone else for making it happen, and also my students and participants this year in the Veterans Initiative and Hearts and Minds, and the Search class as well, who really exceeded my expectations of how great this could go. So when the quarantine came down, I was sitting right on this couch and I picked up this guitar and started playing, and this is the first song that I wrote, and it's called Sing the Dawn. There ain't no use in staring at the sun when it's gone around the bend again. There ain't no point in turning people on if you can't come within 6 feet of them. I didn't try to write this song, but there ain't much else that's going on. I can't fix what's all gone wrong, but we got to get along. Yeah, we all got to get along. Yesterday was something to behold. We owned the world, our victory flags unfurled. Now we're sitting staring at the walls, the curtain calls of all our excesses. I ain't trying to say what's wrong, but we gotta sing till we see the dawn. So if you got another song, then we'll all sing till we see the dawn. Yeah, we'll all sing till we see the dawn. Yeah, we'll all sing till we see the dawn. And if we all sing, we just might be the dawn. Thank you. See you next year on the Hill.
Thank you, Dan Collins. All right, and I forgot to mention that Dan is the vice president of our board of directors, and he's doing a great job as is the entire board. We've really done a lot of work this year, and we'll continue to do it. Our next performer came to us by way of a guy named Michael Ronstadt, who called me and said, "Hey, there's this guy touring with us now. Really like to bring him to Common Ground." And so I went up on CNN and watched an amazing video about Josh Heisel. And we got in touch. I got in touch with him and told him about what we did. And I told him we needed to hear from him. We needed to hear his songs because Josh had done 2 tours of Iraq in the Marines and came out of there writing songs, really speaking truth to power. And to make a long story short, out of Josh's presence here at Common Ground on the Hill, we established are you ready for this? The Common Ground on the Hill. How do I do this backwards? Here we go. There we go. Veterans Initiative. There's a t-shirt you can buy. And look at that. In the eagle's claws, no weapons except weapons of music and art. And the Veterans Initiative, the goal of that is just to make a safe place for veterans to get together and talk and to be heard. That was a good while ago, and Josh, of course, was noted by Neil Young, and he went on tour with Stephen Stills. He had quite a run of it. And there's a point at which he decided he was going to go get his education. And he was doing really well with music. But he went to Miami of Ohio, graduated with honors, and now he's working with at-risk youth, helping them make their way in a world that's not receptive to them. And oftentimes this is across racial lines. So I'm really happy that Josh is with us. He's also on our board of directors. Make welcome all the way from Ohio, the Cincinnati area, Josh Heisel.
What's up? Wear your mask. This song goes out to Hans Palmer. He's also a big part of the Vets Initiative, and in our little crew, he's in charge of our Department of Civil Disobedience. So this song's for him. When they poured across the border, I was cautioned to surrender, but this I could not do. I took my guns and vanished. I've changed my name so often. I've lost my wife and children, but I've many friends. And some of them are with me. Oh, the wind is blowing. Through the graves, the wind is blowing. Freedom soon will come. And we'll come from the shadows. An old woman gave us shelter, kept us hidden in the garret. Then the soldiers came. She died without a whisper. There were 3 of us this morning. I'm the only one this evening, but I must go on. The frontiers are my prison. Oh, the wind is blowing. Through the graves, the wind is blowing, and freedom soon will come. It will come from the shadows. Hold the line.
Thank you, Josh Heisel. You can always depend on you to speak the truth to power. This has been a wonderful evening of music and art. Our wonderful artists. We got to hear from Sakim. And gosh, on the same day that native lands were given back. Amazing. From what I read, millions of acres of land. So this is the end of week 2, but rest up for the next 36 hours because Traditions Week 3 starts on Monday morning, and we've got an amazing week of music and art and concerts, keynotes. The keynote on Monday will be by David Carrasco from Harvard, talking about Toni Morrison, who was one of his dear friends, and he figured prominently in the recent film about Toni Morrison. So this will be quite a keynote. Remember that all of these concerts and keynotes live on our Common Ground on the Hill official YouTube channel, and they will be there. They'll be archived. You can go back and check them out, and rewind, and skip over the parts you don't like, especially like me sitting here talking, and enjoy what we've been doing this summer. Remember to tell your friends. This is free. It's open to everyone. This is the way we can build some community. So again, our thanks to Rex Riley for all his technical help, and as always to our wonderful staff of Maria and Matt, Pam Zappardino herding all of the teachers, and especially to all of you tuning in, to the people that believed in us enough this summer that we can make this virtual thing happen. And as it turns out, it looks like we have some real success on our hands in terms of the way people like the learning. It's not like being there in person, but in many ways it's easier, and actually we're actually talking with one another more than we would in person. And never forget, you don't have to eat at the cafeteria. So thank you all so much, and we will see you Monday evening. Tell a friend. Take care.